And just like that, another conference down. We have finished our game-by-game predictions for every single SEC team, and like we do always here at the Gridiron Expert, it's time to break down our SEC conference recap, recapping our projected records for all 14 teams, who's playing in the SEC championship, and who's going to be crowned SEC champion. Got a lot to unpack here, so we're going to get into it. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. You do not want to miss out on those picks, guys. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Go over there, take advantage of the day for guaranteed winnings. We can guarantee we'll finish with a winning record. We can guarantee that you will leave with money in your pocket. Go sign up for those today. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame. And of course, check out our mailing address. Send us some gear. Send us some of your best SEC gear. Whatever your team is, send it our way. We'd love to represent your team in every single Gridiron Expert video as we continue to expand our background and continue to expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. Mailing address, again, right down there in the description. So let's go ahead and take a look, guys. Let's bring up the graphic. Boom, here we go. SEC recap will start over in the West, and it's competitive as always, right? I mean, what else would you expect in the arguably best division and the best conference in all of college football? As you can see at the top, we've got a two-way tie. We got a tie between Alabama and LSU for first place in the West. Obviously, using some reasoning there, you can tell we have Alabama beating LSU in Tuscaloosa later on in November. November 4th, LSU traveled to Tuscaloosa. We believe that game ultimately decides who wins the SEC West. And right now, we're giving the edge to Alabama, despite LSU beating the Crimson Tide last year in Death Valley. But both at 11-1, 7-1 in conference play. One of those two teams is winning the division. LSU did it last year. We think Alabama bounces back and makes the SEC championship. But regardless, both teams are going to be absolutely phenomenal in 2023. Go down to Texas A&M, 9-3, 5-3 in conference play. The Aggies, we have having a major bounce back year. They started off 6th in the country last year, lost to App State, never recovered, finished the year at 5-7. Jimbo Fisher needs this. Jimbo Fisher needs to bounce back in a big, big way. We have them at 9-3, winning 4 extra games than they did last year. Very well could be in the hunt for the SEC title later on in the year. I mean, if you go look at the schedule, if they can get past Alabama on October 7th, even if they were to lose to Tennessee the very next week, which that game's on the road, they come out of that bye week, they don't play LSU into the season finale. So if Texas A&M is a potential undefeated or one-loss team heading into that road game at LSU in the season finale, all bets are off, and you could potentially see a really true 3-team race in the final week of the year for who wins the West. But right now, we don't think that's going to be the case. A&M should improve drastically with 20 starters back, a new offensive coordinator in Bobby Petrino. I love what they're doing on both sides of the ball, and they have a shot at a 10-win season, which, if A&M goes 9-3 and wins their bowl game, would be the first 10-win season under Jimbo Fisher. Ole Miss at 8-4, 4-4 in conference play. The Rebels are going to have a bit of a different year, right? Last year, they go 7-0 to start, 1-5 down the stretch. This year, the schedule doesn't line up to the fact where they can have such a strong start. They play Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas in 3 consecutive weeks. But this is still a Rebels team that's loaded on both sides, especially offensively. Quinshon Judkins, one of the best running backs in the country. You've got an experienced quarterback, whether you start Jackson Dart, who was the quarterback last year, or Spencer Sanders, who's transferring in from Oklahoma State. Regardless, Lane Kiffin, the portal king, if you will, is doing phenomenal things in Oxford. And 8-4, some would view as a disappointment, considering that's what their regular season record was last year. I would say it's not. When you have Alabama and LSU on your schedule, plus you have to go to Georgia, it's not going to be easy. I think 8-4 would be a very, very respectable record for the Rebels. Arkansas in at 7-5. Many would view this as a disappointment considering the talent the Razorbacks bring back. They bring back KJ Jefferson. They bring back Rocket Sanders. They've got what should be an improved defense. 2 new coordinators as well. Dan Enos returning as offensive coordinator, where he served from 2015 to 2017. And then Travis Williams as well coming in as DC from UCF. So great additions by Sam Pittman and the staff. I really, really do like this Arkansas team. I think there's a chance that they can maybe even get to 9 wins, but there's a brutal stretch in the middle of the year where they go to LSU, Texas A&M and Arlington, at Ole Miss, and at Alabama. Arkansas goes over a month without a true home game. They play BYU on September 16th in Fayetteville. They don't play in Fayetteville again until October 21st. And those 4 games that we just mentioned are against very good teams, and none of them are going to have Arkansas's crowd on their side. If the Razorbacks can find a way to win even just 1 or 2 of those games, watch out. Arkansas could surprise, but it could be a rough go-around this year for Sam Pittman and the Hogs. And rough go-round, a 7-win season with a shot at 8, not too bad considering what Arkansas had gone through from 2017 to 2019. Auburn, Mississippi State, tying for last place, really. But Auburn getting the nod there, obviously owning the tiebreaker over the Bulldogs in our eyes. Both 6-6, both dealing with new head coaches. Hugh Freeze now at Auburn, Zach Arnett now at Mississippi State due to the tragic passing of Mike Leach. Both these teams have talent to maybe do a little bit better than 6-6, but the schedules, again, not shaping out well for either of them. Mississippi State getting a very, very tough draw across the board. Life in the SEC West is not easy. They have to travel to South Carolina on top of that, and an interesting game against Arizona in week 2. And then Auburn, of course, again, life in the SEC West. You're playing everybody in that division, as well as, because of the rivalry game, having to play Georgia at the end of September. I don't think Hugh Freeze comes in and makes Auburn world beaters in year 1. I don't think he makes them, SEC title contenders or national championship contenders in year 1. But the Tigers certainly will be more competitive than they were last year in that final season under Brian Harsin. Mississippi State, same can be said. No Mike Leach, but the offense still going to be great, led by Will Rogers. Defense very, very stingy. Navigates a very difficult early part of the schedule, but finds a way to get to bowl eligibility. So everybody in the West goes bowling. On the East, almost everybody goes bowling. You can go through this pretty quick. I don't think it's a surprise to see Georgia up at the top, finishing undefeated. The 2-time national champions, back-to-back national champions, have one of the easiest schedules in the entire country. Their toughest test of the year isn't until November 18th at Tennessee, which is the second to last week of the season. So Georgia, in theory, should steamroll their schedule up until they play Tennessee on November 18th. Clearly, we believe they will defeat the Volunteers and make the SEC championship, where they will play Alabama. We'll predict the winner of that here in 1 second. But the Bulldogs simply are too good on both sides of the ball, too much talent coming back. I don't think that should be disputed. Tennessee at 10-2. Some go, wow, really? Tennessee? Still winning double-digit games? Yeah, absolutely. The schedule for them, very, very favorable. They have to play at Alabama. They have to play Georgia. Certainly not going to be easy, but they get to host Texas A&M. They get to host South Carolina, arguably the other top team in the East, or toughest test in the East outside of Georgia. Missouri could be viewed as a bit of a trap game, but the non-conference is easy. Virginia, Nashville, UTSA, Austin Peay. It should be another very successful year for Josh Heupel and the Volunteers, despite the loss of Hendon Hooker and some key wide receivers. So Tennessee is certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with. And like we mentioned with Alabama LSU, we think the West will be determined on November 4th when those two teams meet in Tuscaloosa. The SEC East, more than likely, will be determined on November 18th when Georgia visits Knoxville and Tennessee. So very exciting game there. After that, there's a significant drop-off. South Carolina and Kentucky both coming in at 7-5. Really, the East, to me, is a 2-team race only between the Bulldogs and the Volunteers. South Carolina in at 7-5 under Shane Beamer. He continues to do a phenomenal job in Columbia, continues to exceed expectations. And the Gamecocks have the talent, right? Spencer Rattler returns at quarterback. They've got Antoine Wells coming back as their top wide receiver. The secondary, pretty solid defensively. But South Carolina, again, not an easy schedule by any means. Drawing Georgia on the road, Tennessee on the road, Missouri on the road, A&M on the road, and then concluding the year at home against Clemson, which will have college football playoff aspirations again, despite South Carolina beating the Tigers in last year's finale. So South Carolina winning 7 games with that type of schedule, to me, would be a great success, considering the road games we just mentioned, the home game against Clemson, and then the neutral site season opener against Drake May in North Carolina. So tough go-around for the Gamecocks, but 7 wins with a shot at 8 would be another phenomenal coaching job by Shane Beamer. Kentucky also in at 7-5. This is a team that, for me, should start maybe 5-0. The first half of their schedule is really, really easy. Love that Kentucky brings in Devin Leary. Love that bringing in Ray Davis. I love Mark Stoops and what he's done in Lexington. To win this much and win this consistently in Lexington is very, very, very impressive. But again, a very tough stretch of games in that back half of the season, especially in the month of November, where they played Mississippi State and Alabama, at South Carolina, and at Louisville. 3 of their final 4 games on the road. And in their games after the bye week, 3 of the 5 games are on the road, and the only 2 home games are against Tennessee and Alabama. So a rough go-round again for the Wildcats. Missouri in at 6-6. This is Eli Drinkwitz's best team since arriving in Columbia, and we still don't think he can clinch a winning record. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Tigers get to 7-5. I'm not ruling that out at all. I think they maybe snag 1 win that we're not projecting, and they get that 7th win, which would be the first winning season under Eli Drinkwitz. The defense is going to be phenomenal. 10 of their top 13 tacklers returned from last year. New offensive coordinator in Kirby Moore from Fresno State is going to work wonders with whoever's under center, whether that's Brady Cook, Sam Horn, Jake Garcia, whoever it may be. I like this Missouri team a lot, and I think they have the opportunity to really, really surprise, but I just don't know if they're at the level yet to pull off some massive upsets like Georgia, Tennessee, even the road games at Arkansas and a home game against LSU. Don't know if they're quite there yet. So I still think they're a bowl team. If they win that, they have a first winning season under Drinkwitz, but I'd love to clinch that record in the regular season. Bottom 2 of the East, Florida and Vanderbilt. It's crazy to have the Gators that low, but like we said in our Florida video, I think things are going to have to get worse in Gainesville before they can get better. Billy Napier is recruiting extremely well, but we always say with new coaches, it takes 3 or 4 years to really build up your program. This is only year 2. The Gators don't have much of an offense. The running game should be pretty solid, but I don't have much faith in Graham Mertz under center. I don't have much faith in Jack Miller under center. The defense looks to be solid once again, but they're not going to be world beaters by any means. You factor in a road game at Utah, road game at Kentucky, road game at South Carolina, road game at LSU, while drawing Georgia and Jacksonville, Florida State in the finale. I mean, it's a tough schedule for the Gators. I think getting to a bowl game would be a remarkable job by Billy Napier. That would be a remarkable coaching job. But I think they take a bit of a step back and then really take a major step forward. I think 2024 Florida could be like this year's A&M, where they have a losing season in 2023, but then next year they get a lot of experience in, a lot of good recruits in, and they take that major leap forward. That's kind of what I'm envisioning in Gainesville, and hopefully the fans can be patient for that. And then Vanderbilt, 4-8, 1-7 in conference play. Find out who Vanderbilt's lone conference win is by checking out our individual Vanderbilt video. Check it out for all these teams, guys. If you want to see in-depth analysis for all these teams and game-by-game predictions for all of them, go check it out. We've got that playlist there. You do not want to miss it. But Vanderbilt under Clark Lee is improving, no doubt about it. Love the offense. The defense should take a little bit of a step forward. They've got 3 home conference games against Kentucky, Missouri, and Auburn. And I'm telling you, the Commodores are winning at least one of those games. They beat Kentucky last year. They beat Florida last year. Finished 5-7 last year. Commodores are certainly on the rise and will be way more competitive than they've been in recent years. But they take a minor step back just because of how difficult the schedule is once again. But those 3 games we mentioned, they're winning at least one of them. Could see them maybe winning 2. We only have 1. Wouldn't be shocked to see them get 2. But Vandy is not a team you can afford to overlook anymore. Clark Lee doing a great job in Nashville. With that, guys, we do have our SEC championship being between Alabama and Georgia, the usual suspects. One could make an argument. You see a rematch between LSU and Georgia. Georgia, to me, is almost a lock to win the SEC East. So it's really Georgia versus who? And it's either going to be Georgia versus Bama or Georgia versus LSU. And that's going to come down to that game on November 4th. But we've got Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship, and our SEC champion will be the Georgia Bulldogs. A few years ago, I couldn't do it. A few years ago, I could not pick against Alabama. Even when Georgia was great, I was like, until I finally see Kirby Smart beat Nick Saban in Alabama, I'm not picking it to happen. Well, then it did. It finally did happen. And I'm not saying Alabama's fallen off by any means. But the Crimson Tide didn't even make the SEC championship last year. Didn't make the playoff last year. Georgia's winning back-to-back national championships. They're going for a 3-peat. And I don't think Alabama, with some questions on offense, don't think they're going to have enough to exploit this Georgia defense. The Bulldogs win another SEC title, will get the number 1 seed in the college football playoff, and will have their shot to become the first team to win 3 straight national titles since Minnesota did it all the way back from 1934 to 1936. So guys, there you go. Those are your SEC predictions heading into this upcoming college football season. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great year. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see what the best conference in the country does this year. But we're moving on to our next conference. Take 1 day off tomorrow. Next conference comes your way starting on Wednesday. You do not want to miss out on those 2 conferences left. The season's going to be here before we know it, guys. It's right around the corner. We're going to have you covered every single step of the way. So once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on future videos, prediction videos, and the videos that come out during the season. Make sure to check out everything down in the description. Sign up for those expert picks. You don't want to miss them. The earlier you sign up, the better. It's a year-long subscription to get some of the best picks in the country. Sign up for our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. And, of course, check out our mailing address. Send us some gear. Let's expand the SEC collection in our background and get your team represented in every single Gridiron Expert video. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.